What's poppin'? I'm gonna be talking about a few serious things in this video, so if you get triggered easily, then click off. Massive trigger warning over this entire project. I have a really interesting painting planned, and I'm really excited to get into it, so I'm just gonna start. I was really inspired by Carolee Schneemann's art and the way she exaggerates the female form in a way to liberate the female body from the male gaze and patriarchal idealizations. She reclaims her own body through her explicit process, which some may call ugly, horrendous, a disgrace to the delicate and petite, pure female nature. But her point is to present the reality of womanhood away from such labels, because why do we have them in the first place? Why do all women have to be so collected, delicate, and pure? Why are we shamed for our physicality and biological needs while men's are often just justified, right? A man doesn't have control over his physicality, so therefore it's unfair to judge and scrutinize someone based off of their body. We have to accept them as they are. So why aren't women getting the same treatment then? We also biologically have no control over our physical bodies. Why do we have to play small and control ourselves then? This double standard is one of many, as most people know, but over the course of my life, I've had many people tell me that our fight has long been over, that we've already attained equality and we should just be grateful for the progress that we've already made and shut up about feminism. And it is true that we've come a long way, but saying this is another mere attempt at silencing us. Every woman and girl still faces discrimination, unequal opportunity, and uncalled for assault in her regular life. And as much as it may seem easy for some people to ignore, this is a very serious issue that still affects all women, all young girls till this day. And it's time for us to stand up for our women. It's time for us to stop being ignorant. Now, I've been reflecting a lot about my life and what womanhood means to me, and I've had to face a lot of difficult truths about my experiences, a lot of internalizations that I haven't processed before. And my heart truly goes out to all women because we all truly face the same inner turmoil. No matter our backgrounds, no matter our upbringing, our age, our physical appearance, we're all affected. Now, let me be clear. In this video, I'll be talking about the patriarchy and its deep-rooted misogyny that still currently affects all of us, men and women alike. I'll be sharing my take on this, but please, this isn't to shame or attack men by any means. In fact, the men that I'll be referring to in this video aren't even real men. There are many real men out there who truly love and support women, but that doesn't stop the fact that our society and the system we live in is trying to teach us ignorance. And that, in my opinion, is killing real men, but I'll get to that later. Women are absolutely incredible, to say the least, and I'm so beyond empowered seeing so many strong and capable women in this lifetime, carving their own path, accomplishing their dreams while still approaching the world with so much love and empathy. And honestly, calling them strong feels like an understatement. Women are warriors. Every girl and woman has to fight and face so much scrutiny throughout her life, since childhood and on a regular basis, a lot of which often gets overlooked. And no matter how normalized it is to hide all of this, no matter how hard it is to move forward against the odds that are stacked against us, we women still persevere. We still fight for ourselves and our loved ones. We adapt the best we can to do what's right by us in a world where it feels like everything is working against us. And we still flourish to be these wonderful, beautiful beings who continue to love and create such great things while raising communities up. Some women out here really carrying the burdens of their entire families, friends, communities on their shoulders, dealing with so much responsibility on a regular basis. And yet they still hold so much love and passion for the world around them, regardless of how hard it is for them to get through and bear every single day. Although I haven't experienced motherhood myself or had the responsibility of being a caregiver, there were many women and young girls around me throughout my life who had to take on such taxing responsibilities, and they made huge sacrifices to their individuality, their freedom, in order to care for and raise the people around them. And I have so much love, adoration, and respect for these women because I can see how hard you're fighting and how difficult it is to do so without a proper support system. And unfortunately, too many women are burdened by such responsibilities and unrealistic expectations, where so much of it not only goes unnoticed, but it becomes a given that a woman's job, role in society, is to silently conform and deal with all of these things on her own. The patriarchy teaches us that only men are free to live as they please, while women inherently owe this unconditional love and support to everyone. That if we can't be useful or appease a man's needs, then we're nothing. That nothing about our existence matters if we're not of use to the male gaze, the male pleasure. So since when are women such a different species that not only do we owe pleasure to men, but we owe them our lives in blind devotion no matter how it affects us? There are many men who don't understand motherhood, for example, and just how physically and mentally demanding it is to be a caregiver. Many cultures and religions excuse the man's absence from the caregiver role, which leaves the woman to doing all that work on her own. And God forbid she complains or says something about how hard it is to do this job, and everyone shames her for being a bad mother or a bad wife, for not being able to silently bear this labor on her own like everyone else has been for the past few generations. Pregnancy as well, and all the physical and hormonal changes that come from it, is a lot to handle, and too many men fail to understand that, let alone actually provide the necessary support. And I really dislike that mental distance that those men have in those situations, to be so uncaring and factually unaware of what's going on with your significant other only because it's not your body and it doesn't affect you, right? But all of a sudden the topic of abortion comes up, and then apparently you know our bodies better than us, prioritizing an unborn fetus over our wellness. And it's not even our well-being here. It almost seems like these men prioritize what they can gain for themselves in relation to a woman, and us being in control of our own bodies is somehow taking away from them. The narrative that we're lesser than and incapable of rationality is really problematic because it's not true. And for some reason, the patriarchy just loves reinforcing it. Why does the patriarchy so desperately want to control women, lessen our voices? And this injustice and the toxic narratives about us are upheld in the government, in professional workspaces, in TV, and even the justice system. We're silenced in history, silenced in politics, silenced in education. And because of this, women are taken less seriously. Women's pain is taken less seriously. And because of this lack of action and the normalization of women's struggles, our bossy, bitchy attitudes and our complaining and emotional outbursts are labeled all these minimizing, degrading things in our regular society. And instead of hearing us out and solving the issues at hand, we're the ones who have to change so that men can live more comfortably. Men choose ignorance. Most of the time, not even consciously, because from a young age, the world around them and our government shows them through action that we only matter for the things that we can give to them. This ignorance is very much taught. Men are taught to never question the emotional self and to seek out their pleasure physically from others. Now, talking about the way that femininity and masculinity is presented to us, gender roles, especially when implemented so harshly, harm literally all of us. Not only do they fit us into smaller, more digestible categories that create our identities for us, which obstructs and limits individuality and self-expression, but it also creates a fragmented sense of self because of the idealized image that we're not only told to strive for, but that we're told is necessary in order to live a successful life by the patriarchy standards. And this is where all the unrealistic expectations are born. Gender roles force us to strive for unattainable perfection, an unrealistic and very demanding way of life that no human being can achieve without sacrificing their soul. But because we're told that it's the only way we can succeed and be accepted in society, out of fear, we strive for this idealized image, thinking that our honest, inherent self is somehow unworthy or destined to make us fail. Gender is such a minor, insignificant thing that shouldn't be at the forefront of your mind at all times, shouldn't dictate the decisions you make. Gender has no limit on what one can accomplish or how worthy someone is. Gender shouldn't dictate your life, tell you what you should and shouldn't do. Gender shouldn't make you feel lesser than. And the patriarchal gender roles do just that. They make us all feel like shit because it distracts us from what really matters to us. It distracts us from life. When we are told that we must be a certain thing, that success looks a certain way, that inherently creates fear and competition. The fear that there's a possibility for you to fail and be outcasted for doing things differently or being different, which creates an environment where everyone's trying to conform out of fear. It creates a lack in our identities, which we are now constantly chasing. So, fragmented sense of self. We're now emotionally unaware, desperately chasing gratification and acceptance. And that's where the toxic romantic situations come in. In cis relationships between men and women, the woman is often degraded and tasked with selfless devotion and caregiving because of these gender roles. Men feel entitled to the woman and her unconditional support because the patriarchy teaches them that she owes you pleasure. Men depend on women. And when we don't give you what you want, or you can't control us, or we challenge your honest character, then your fragmented masculinity gets hurt, and you deflect your emotions by blaming the women. It's not me or my fear of failure or my inability to make myself happy, it's the women who are failing to do their job. Because first of all, growing up, men are honored and raised up by society. But we also teach them to physically release emotion instead of turning within, which ultimately means a man can go about most of his life avoiding personal growth and just chasing temporary pleasure, which won't get them anywhere. And I feel like this is translated into that idea that, oh, this is a man's biological need, like he needs his release whenever he craves it, because like having self-control and emotional maturity takes work. Now, we women, we're taught self-control all right. We're supposed to behave. We're supposed to play small. Girls are faced with all kinds of injustice from a young age, which in turn makes us self-reflect and become emotionally aware a lot earlier on in life, while trying to figure out where we stand, why we feel the way we do, why our humanity is overlooked, and why we're treated differently. This ultimately makes us aware of the fact that we are responsible for our own happiness, and that if we want something in life, we have to fight for it and work hard for it. And that helps us find love and happiness as we go through life. This is also where immature femininity is born, where the lack of external support and the lack of inner strength topped with the broken down sense of self breaks the girl down. So she now also chases external gratification because she's unaware of how to give it to herself. And this isn't to justify any toxic behaviors from women. They need to be held accountable just like anyone else, but this kind of behavior and insecurity within women is also a product of the patriarchy. While most women figure themselves out eventually, men are trapped in a closed-minded and non-reactive way of life. Men who go about most of their lives chasing the physical world, keeping up appearances, and looking at things at this very superficial level, while society is basically promising them inherent greatness. Those men remain stuck and immature, expecting somebody else or the world around them to just magically bend to their will. And I feel like that's why we hear a lot about men finally discovering empathy in their 30s, or like after taking psychedelics for the first time, because a lot of men genuinely go about most of their lives without even thinking twice about the emotional self. They deflect constantly, seeking out their pleasure physically. And we women unfortunately get caught up in that at times. And this is why women are so objectified and minimized till this day, because without our own insecurities, without our own inner objectification, we're too powerful to control. And we'll know that, and then no longer need the sad immature men who are gonna have to step up and change their ways. These men blame us for their shortcomings, and because shaming women is so normalized in society, they do just that. I gotta fix her up a little bit. The anatomy's kind of wrong, but after I do that, I'm gonna start her, and I'm excited. There's a part of me that's definitely a little uncomfortable about this whole thing, about this whole process. I know the uncomfortability is a result of censorship and the fact that there's so many taboos around the female body, and the patriarchy in our society always telling us that we have to cover up, and that we're too much of this, too much of that. Anything too revealing is taboo, basically. So the fact that we have the vag here on full display definitely makes me uncomfortable, but I want to break through that because, why be uncomfortable with the female body? Why are we so accepting and comfortable with the male body in its natural form? But, when it comes to the female body in its natural form, oh, you have to hide it and make yourself look as unnatural as possible. Wear bras, cover up. You can't let anyone see this. It's a double standard. And if anyone's trying to use the excuse that, oh, well, females are just different, that's why we have to hide their bodies. There's no sense to that. Men and women are both sexual beings, both men and women get tempted. I don't understand why we celebrate the male temptation and we try to suppress women. It's all about control and suppressing women, and I'm done with that. I'm tired of this double standard. I'm tired of female censorship. I'm tired of ignorance towards femininity and towards our bodies and towards our biology. I'm tired of this bullshit. I'm tired of this, grandpa. If a man walks outside, shirtless, this big, strong, masculine man, and he's walking down the street, most people would look at him and be like, oh, strong, powerful man, let's go. Independent, he knows he's the shit. That kind of thing. But if a woman walks outside with a little bit of cleavage or something, all of a sudden, oh, she's a slut. She's showing off on purpose. It's crazy. We don't call men sluts for being shirtless. There's a desexualization to the male body because of the active exposure and acceptance that we have of the male body. But then female body is all about censorship and hiding things. Us being objects for pleasure dehumanizes us. It hypersexualizes us. And therefore our existence is taken less seriously. Our voices, our pain, our biological needs such as periods, the menstrual cycle, menopause, and our emotional bodies are all brushed off to the side as something men can just ignore. And a lot of the time men do fully ignore this about us because it makes them uncomfortable and it doesn't align with the unrealistic and pleasurable image that they expect. Bro, my period cramps are actually so fucking bad. It literally feels like stabbing, there's a blender inside my stomach. My legs hurt I can't walk. My back hurts so bad. And I have the worst headache, and I'm literally just sitting here in the dark. I feel so uncomfortable. I can't do anything. But then I also can't sleep because the cramps are so bad and the medication isn't enough to help me. And if I take more, I'm gonna cause more kidney damage or liver damage or whatever the organ is. And some ignorant people might say, it's just you. You don't need to complain that much. It's probably it probably doesn't even hurt that much. It hurts. And not only do we women experience this literally every fucking month, but most women can relate to this debilitating pain. Like, I have to vent this out because I'm like, my first day period cramps are terrible. First and second day for me are so bad. After that, it gets manageable. But everyone experiences things differently. I know somebody who gets like terrible cramps before their period. Our hormones and everything change during our cycle all the time. So every single month we're changing all the time. Everything's changing. And then the cycle continues and the cycle starts over. I literally hate this. Okay, I just woke up. All night I'm like struggling. I can barely sleep. I woke up way earlier than I need to because I'm just feeling so ugh. And then I go to the bathroom to change my pad, and then the blood just gushes everywhere on the carpet. So now I'm like sleep deprived, trying to clean up all the blood, and I already cleaned it and everything's good, and I'm just like sitting in my room sad. But like, really I went to sleep so late, and I was like, I need more sleep. And I'm on my period, so I'm tired. Like, I need more sleep. Why am I awake? And then the blood was just so unpleasant. Like, it went everywhere on the fucking carpet. I'm tired of this, Grandpa. I'm fucking tired. I'm so tired. I want to sleep. I want to stop fucking bleeding. Bruh. That's bullshit. I'm being emotional right now, but I'm just really upset. Like, I'm really upset because this is so unfair. This is so unfair. Women have no choice. Women have no choice. This shit just happens to us, bro. I'm so sad. I'm so tired, bro. I'm so tired. Anyway, sorry. And even me talking about this right now, I feel hella awkward because I rarely talk about this. But I've been like trying my best to like break that stigma. And if we had more open conversations about this kind of stuff, no, you know what? Imagine if men had periods. If men had periods, then they'd probably be so normalized in society. That'd be a conversation for empowerment. Like, that would be like such a masculine, like powerful thing. Like, we have to go through this every month. But like, women have that, and it just completely gets ignored. I have to fucking deal with this for every month of my life. And menopause, okay? Menopause is also not fucking talked about enough, and all women go through menopause. It's like women just, we have to constantly suffer, bro. And men are making it harder. It's not even men, it's just the patriarchal system makes it so hard for us to just exist as ourselves, because like, we're not allowed to do that. I had an argument with somebody one time. I was on my period and I was like complaining about my cramps because I get like really bad cramps, and I was like, dude, I feel like I'm dying, like I can't do this. This is terrible. And you know what he says to me? The first thing he says is, well, men have it hard too because we're horny all the time and we have to jerk off. And it's like, it comes out in like unconventional times and it's so difficult. It's so hard. I'm horny all the time. What do I do? I'm like, bro, I'd rather be horny all the time than deal with these pains, bro. That's bullshit. Like, that point of like, it's just an urge, a natural urge that you can't ignore. I fucking hate that, because then like, okay, if I have the urge to punch you in the face, does that justify me punching you in the face? I can say that physical aggression is a natural biological reaction to anger and therefore it's justified, but that doesn't make it justified, so make it make sense. The patriarchy presents its oppression in a very rationalized way. It rationalizes this behavior to make it seem okay when it's not. The patriarchy just normalizes toxic behaviors for both men and women. But because it's been the norm for so long, it's so difficult to get out of that mindset. Genuinely, why are women judged so harshly for every little thing they do? Like, that's so gross. You should keep that to yourself. I don't want to hear about it. I saw my wife give birth and now I'm just so repulsed by her. What do I do? My wife is demanding too much help with the kids. What happened to her easygoing self? I'm gonna leave her for someone less demanding. Immature men are stuck in a cycle where they refuse change, only act on their own needs, and demand pleasure from a superficial way of life. And honestly, doing that wouldn't be an issue if they didn't blame and shame the women for this. If you're at least honest with yourself, taking accountability for your immaturity, and not labeling your partner and all women these degrading things, it's one thing to be honest about your goals and intentions and to pursue them, but it's a whole other thing to lie, deflect, and project on all women. The normalization of talking down on women, labeling them all these nasty things, is the issue because it further reinforces these norms, leading women themselves to take on the same degrading beliefs. And now both men and women don't take women seriously. If women are only judged and valued for their physical appearance, then I have to make sure I look good 24/7. I gotta get this shaved and this wax and get my boobs done. Wear a full face of makeup 24/7, because God forbid he finds out what I naturally look like and then he'll just leave me. Then he'll find out. God forbid he finds out I menstruate every month, because that'll gross him out and he'll see me differently. God forbid that he sees me for who I truly am. Women themselves can no longer be themselves in a society where we're so shamed for our physicality and natural existence. Why do we have to hide our humanity to make men more comfortable? With just how silenced we are and how normalized these narratives have become, of course women feel shame for their natural bodies and continue to hide and ignore their own humanity, which further creates more lack of support between women. If women are constantly hiding, constantly competing, and thinking of themselves as pawns in a man's game, then why on earth would they care about women? By living for the male gaze, living not as yourself, but as a spectator of your own life and physical appearance from the side, you're not in your right mind. You're living for male pleasure. When women themselves accept themselves as lesser than and value a man and his attention, his opinion over anything else, it really creates this core belief, like this internalized objectification that plays out in all of your friendships, relationships, in all other areas of your life. There was this one friend in particular, she was older than me, and I met her when I was 14 years old, and she was like teaching me these weird narratives. Basically, she was feeding into my objectification, which I don't blame her for objectifying me, because it was more so my own lack of self-worth that led me to objectify myself. But she was planting those ideas in my brain. Whenever I'd be alone and without men, all she'd ever talk about is like physical appearances and how to please men, or what men think of us, that kind of thing. And it was almost impossible to talk to her about anything else, because I was always a dreamer. I always had big aspirations. I've always felt super passionate for the world around me. And whenever I talk about that with any of my female friends, they would always shut me down. All of the women in my life fed me a narrative of who I should be and how I would succeed in life that didn't align with how I wanted to live, who I wanted to be. And that in turn led me to objectify myself and act in ways that I didn't want to act for a bit of my life. Not only do I regret that, but I also wish I just didn't listen to those people, because they really made me feel like my goals were unattainable, that my humanity was something that should be ignored. And I don't blame these women either, because I know that this is just a byproduct of like extreme objectification, but it still hurts when the people who you think would understand you because you have this shared experience, because I thought that common understanding would help us, bring us closer together, make us understand each other. So I was really shocked when literally every woman in my life growing up just further reinforced the narrative that all I'm worth is like sex and being a proper caregiver to the man, doing everything for the man. This is really difficult to talk about because I'm not blaming the women by any means, but it was really their lack of support that made it really hard. Like, the men could tell me whatever they want and I'd be like, okay, but that's them speaking. But when the women themselves would also say that, it really felt like I couldn't be worth more, and that no one could ever look at me as anything but an object. And now I know that's not true. Now I'm genuinely doing a lot better in my life. I'm cut all those toxic people out of my life, and I'm unlearning all of these things within myself, but I can't help but regret how I held myself back in the past. I'm so mad at that whole situation, that society taught me and them that women only matter for their physical appearance. And that one friend, she would really care about her physical appearance. She would always talk about all these procedures that she wanted to get done. And I'd ask her, like, why do you think you need that? Like, no one needs that. I was also 14 years old when this was going on, so, like, I didn't know any of this shit. And she would be like, yeah, no, every girl needs to get Botox eventually because, like, fine lines and wrinkles? No. I got smile lines, I got forehead lines, I gotta get rid of those ASAP. And I'm like, what? Why? I gotta get rhinoplasty done, I gotta get laser hair removal. I have all these things that I hate about myself and I gotta get them fixed. And I would like try to reassure her and be like, no, you don't. But she'd end up convincing me somehow that it's a good procedure to get done. So when I was younger, I'd also think to myself that, oh, that's probably a procedure that I'm gonna get done. Or like, oh, you know what, I'm also gonna get my boobs done when I grow up. But because we're always told that women only matter for their physical appearance or for their sex, basically, it's only natural for women to like really dig into their self-worth. Because when men judge us so harshly for it, eventually women start judging themselves in the same way. And when women start projecting those same beliefs on other women, it literally creates this like never-ending cycle, constantly putting yourself and other women down. With men, we always fight for radical acceptance and just accepting them and their bodies for what they are. But women, even women don't accept themselves for who they are. I know how it feels because I've been there myself. I've had to deal with crazy body dysmorphia, literally not knowing what I'd look like, feeling like I need to get every single procedure done, getting all these hair extensions and like doing literally everything possible to hide my natural self because I hated it so much. I'd look in the mirror and like see a monster. I'd see the most hideous thing in the world. And I didn't know how to feel better about myself. Sometimes the things that women say about other women is even more disgusting than some of the things that men say about women. The way that men judge women's bodies, especially during sex and like around that, it's disgusting. But like when women also slut shame other women and call them all these degrading things, minimize them to their imperfections, and just talk about their bodies in such repulsive ways, it's disgusting. And I always hated that. But at the time I was so young, I didn't understand that. I was just kind of like going along with it like, okay. I didn't even know that that should be something I should be insecure about. I didn't know that the color of my vag should be something I should be insecure about. Like what? And because this friend talked about it in such like a, you know, every girl does this, you must do this, otherwise you're not gonna get loved. It became like a, okay, like I didn't even question it. I was like, okay, I want to be loved. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I have to do that. Yeah, fuck, I gotta get a nose job. Fuck. Ah, shit. What else is wrong with me? Ah, is this crooked? Ah, shit. God damn. Like, and once again, I'm not blaming these women for what happened. I know this was all taught to them as well by other people, and I know they had hard lives too, but it's just unfair. It's unfair that so many women fail to have genuine friendships and relationships in their life because they're stuck in such a superficial way of thinking. They're stuck living in the male gaze. They're spectating their life. They're not actually living it. They're just doing their best to survive and be loved. You know, I have to mention this though. There was a really good movie that was released just last year called The Substance. In my opinion, it perfectly depicts like the inner struggles with appearance, and like especially when it comes to women and aging. Carolee is an amazing director. Highly recommend. It's really unfair just how much self-hatred we women go through. Just how much of this hatred is taught to us from the male gaze when it comes to sex and pleasure. All of these ideas, they come from sex and pleasing the man. If a woman does something that offends them, then they degrade her to nothing. They talk about her in all these disgusting, graphic, sexual ways just to, I don't know, to shame her for whatever reason or to make her feel bad. If it doesn't fit with their like sexual fantasies, then they just like shame women for things that they have no control over. And so women are led to do all these harmful procedures, all these crazy things, injecting like, what is that one procedure? What is it? They inject like foreskin into your face or something. Like, I swear to God, that's a procedure. Women are doing all these crazy things to try to be as unnatural as possible because men are now so okay with seeing the unnatural and just like having these crazy unrealistic expectations of what a woman should be. And now women feel like they have to be that in order to be loved, in order to not be so degraded. And we have to stop telling women, especially young girls, that they have to be this way, because they don't. We have to start telling young girls that they're beautiful the way they are. They don't have to chase sex or male validation. That they don't have to be doing all these crazy procedures super young. Women are gorgeous just the way they are. The same way we accept men for who they are, we should accept women the same way. Because it's stupid. It's stupid, and it makes me so mad. And it really is men's addiction to sex and the normalization of having their lives revolve around sex that ruins our society and interpersonal connections. Who's saying that men physically, biologically need this release? Technically, on that note, it's also healthy for women to have experienced sexual pleasure, but we have more self-control and it doesn't dictate our life. Don't drink all of life from one flower. Like, if you're unhappy emotionally and then just proceed to never explore that, and you're only chasing sexual, physical validation, then you're ignoring the problem, which is your emotions. Even in a situation where, let's say, a mature, healed man keeps getting into relationships with women who treat him very poorly or who keeps getting cheated on, First of all, hi, welcome to the world of women, a world full of broken promises and unrealistic expectations. Sorry, that's exactly my point. Both men and women go through the same things. And those who repeatedly get their hopes down develop a hatred for the opposite gender. It's the idea of not all men are women, but all the men or women that I've experienced. And it genuinely becomes tricky to keep going with the utmost spirits. But in my opinion, if you're strong, then you don't lose your love, and you don't start hating on all members of the opposite gender, screaming about how you tried everything you could and how all your efforts went to waste. That's you defining your efforts as well as you labeling yourself a victim. And a lot of the times you can actually be a victim. I'm not being ignorant to that experience, but it's your choice to be happy again. Same way it's your choice to hate everybody. Blaming others for their shortcomings takes your attention away from yours, doesn't it? Just like it's not all men, it's not all women. Most mature, healed women will reciprocate the love and support, but the key thing here is reciprocation. You men have to reciprocate the love and attention that you want. And that doesn't mean, oh, I'm gonna love her for the first year of the relationship, do everything for her, and then just stop and expect her to do the same thing for me for the rest of my life. Nor does that mean, oh, I'll give her what she wants for now, but maybe I can change her later to make her more of what I want. It's none of that. It means a healthy, balanced reciprocation of effort, of genuine interest. If you look at relationships as something transactional, then that's not love. And you can't blame the other party for not giving you what you want. If they're not giving you what you want, then leave. There's no point in blaming the opposite gender and then generalizing everyone with the same toxic traits. Like bad people exist regardless of gender. Why give them more power than you do yourself? Why give these situations more power than the goodness of life? If you want a girlfriend, then seriously, don't lie to yourself. And don't get offended if it doesn't work out. Women have zero obligation to you, but you have an obligation to yourself. And if you can't even commit to bettering your own life, working on your own happiness without the presence of somebody else, then how could you ever possibly commit to anything else? If you're incapable of extending kindness to others, then why do you expect it from anyone else? I feel like women are more self-aware and more proud of themselves now than ever before, and as they should be, taking less shit from men and choosing a peaceful, independent, single life over a degrading, unloving, and unequal power dynamic. We women know each other, and we know how to live life to the fullest. We know how to treat each other well. In fact, I feel like these sad, immature men fear us for being our own source of pleasure, because they can't be their own source of pleasure, so surely we're all faking it, right? Surely we're lying to them. Surely it's all about them. But no, women are their own source of happiness. Naturally inspired by the world around her, co-creating with the universe. You can make an active choice to heal yourself, to relearn what it means to be happy, to relearn what it means to be loved, what it means to be free. Be a human being, and only you can define that for yourself. So please do what's best for you. Forget about keeping up appearances or what your mom, your dad, your friend group will think of you. Choose your own freedom. Like, this isn't a race, this isn't a competition. We all die alone in the end. Are you really gonna let others define your life for you? Or are you in control? Women create such great things. Women are smart and capable of so much. There are no limits to our strength, no limits to our potential. Women create so much love, pleasure, and appreciation for every living thing. Women create families, communities, passion for life. Women are incredible people, and it's time for us to rewrite those harmful narratives. I'm tired. I'm tired of this grandpa. I'm tired. But yeah, no, the Substance film by Carolee Schneemann, it's incredible. It's incredible, and I feel like you should definitely watch it, especially if you're a woman. But men, I feel like you can also get a good grasp at how it feels to be a woman just by watching this movie. God forbid he sees me for who I truly am. I don't know how to, okay, I don't know. I don't like being so aggressive in that, but I have to be aggressive in order to get my message across. God damn. Okay, sorry. What the fuck what are the birds talking about right now? What you gossiping about? I feel like they just like fly around everywhere and like gossip about people. Like, look at this bitch's outfit.